55% of my audience are considering getting a car. Now here's why. Number one is that it's fast transport. Number two, there's more opportunities. Some jobs you can't apply for unless you have a driving license. And for example, cybersecurity, if you're interested in that, you can't apply unless you have a driving license. Number three is just you happen to just like driving. Here are 3 reasons why you wouldn't get a car. One, the purchase of the car. It might be just straight up expensive, like you want to go pay $7,000 for a car. And number 2 is insurance. If you haven't been driving for a long time, then you can't get them premium discounts. Therefore, you're gonna have to pay higher car insurance, which is going to be annoying. You could be paying from £2,000 all the way up to £4,000. So if you live in a rough area, you're going to pay a higher car insurance. Number 3 is petrol. We all know why petrol is going up. That's inflation, so it's not a huge surprise. And number 4 is road incidents. Everyone knows you can get an accident. You know, driving is actually one of the easiest ways to go to prison. If you forget to do your MOT, if you get to do anything legal, you're going to go to jail. If you forget to pay for road tax, you're going to go to jail. If you are actually interested in buying a car, the question of leasing a car or buying a car is very, very important. It comes up in every bit of discourse in regards to cars. Which one is better? It really depends on who you're talking to. Leasing a car is basically renting a car and renting its depreciation. For example, a car depreciates every single year. Now, if a car depreciates from 30,000 to 20,000, you basically have to pay that 10,000 depreciation. So you're not actually paying the full amount to pay for the car. You're effectively renting out a car and paying the depreciation. So if you want to go down the cheaper route with monthly expenses, you want to lease a car. Buying a car is completely different. Buying a car has a few different methods. So you can buy a car outright, which is what I would do, which is where I pay for a car, let's say it's 4K or 5K. I just pay the 5K, but I own it. But for me personally, I like things to come out my account straight away so I don't have to miss any payments. So I like to purchase it straight away. So if a car's worth 10,000, I'll just pay the 10,000. Ultimately, you don't have to pay it up front. You can actually pay it later, which is what most people do. This is financing a car. This is basically getting a financial institution to basically take a loan on the car, and then every month you pay it off for maybe 4 to 5 years. At the end of those payments, you own the car outright. This is different to leasing because at the end of a leasing, you don't own the car. You have to give the car back. So when you're leasing a car, you have to think about what the lease actually covers. So the lease actually covers a few things. The lease, first of all, covers the depreciation. So that example from the 30,000 to the 20,000, you're paying a £10,000, $10,000 depreciation. That's what a lease covers. So a good way to explain this is you're paying a percentage of the car, but you're not paying all the cost. So you could be paying 40% of what the car's worth, and that's why it's cheaper, but then that's why you don't actually own it. It's a bit similar when you want to rent a property or you can buy a property. So you can rent a property, but you're never actually going to own it, and you're paying a portion of the value of what the asset is, or you can buy the property where you own it and you own it. So the second thing a lease payment covers is your interest. So what do I mean by this? Your interest is included in the monthly payments. Interest is you're borrowing it for 4 years, so we're going to charge you a little percentage for all those 4 years. For example, you could have 3% interest. So that means for those 4 years, every single month, each payment has a 3% extra than it should be. And then if you were to pay it off early, then obviously those interest rates are going to stop. Number 3 is taxes, and the next one after that is fees. Those 4 things are all included in your lease payments. And this tends to be cheaper and less headache than buying a car and financing it. So I really want to be clear here. If you want to buy a car, I'm going to list the reasons why you should buy a car. And if you want to lease a car, these are the reasons why you should. Here are the top reasons you want to purchase a car. Number 1 is the best financial option for you. Sometimes purchasing a car outright is just better. For example, you might be able to negotiate for a cheaper price. For example, if the car's worth 10,000, you could finance it or lease it, should I say, and it might be a certain amount. Whereas if you just pay up front, because owners like to be paid up front because that's cash flow, then it might be 8,000 if you negotiate it down. This tends to happen when you go to car dealerships. You tend to have this position where you're just going back and forth trying to get prices right, and whether you should finance, whether you should lease, whether you should go all the way up front. It's the same thing with property. If you go to a property owner and say, I'm gonna purchase your property for, let's say, 60,000, but I'm gonna purchase for 50,000 right now, then they'll consider it. Number two is you don't mind driving the same car for a long period of time. So personally, me, I don't mind driving the same car for 10 years, 15 years, because I place no value on cars because it's a depreciating asset and it's a liability. I don't put any thought into it, so I'm not bothered about that. Number three is just you want that peace. Knowing that your car's yours and it's not going to get swiped every 4 years is kind of reassuring. I mean, wouldn't you find it annoying if every 4 years someone comes up and you'd be like, someone sends you an email saying, we need to get your car, like, where's your car? That'd be very annoying. So that's why, me personally, I just purchased the car because it's mine. I can say it's mine with chest. So here are the reasons why leasing a car might be better for you. So number one is you want a different car every 3 to 4 years. If you're paying for an asset, why not get variety? If you're paying for a car, why don't you get multiple cars? Who wants to have the same car for the next 10 years? That sounds weird, right? It also gives you something to look forward to. So if you get to change your car every 4 years, then you get a BMW, you get a Mercedes, you get a Jaguar. You get to see which cars you like and what you don't like. And the ones that you like, then maybe you can stop leasing and then you can actually go purchase the car. Number two, the second reason is if your car is really, really expensive, it makes sense to lease it. For example, if you're getting a 70,000 car, or maybe, for example, a Lamborghini, for example, it makes sense to lease the Lamborghini, pay for like a short-term depreciation of the Lamborghini, than opposed to paying the full 70,000, 80,000 pounds for the Lamborghini. A lot of these really rich people, they lease cars where you have them seeing a Range Rover, then you have a BMW, is because they don't want to pay 60,000 for a Range Rover, then 70,000 for a BMW. They'd rather just pay 20,000 for both of the cars each way, and then they can afford for the cars. And plus, they get 2 different cars. Number three is you won't have to go over the mileage limit. So if you're changing your car every 3 to 4 years, you won't have to succumb to that. You have to drive 5,000 miles every single year. You don't have to do it. You can drive as many miles as you want because you're not owning the car, you're leasing the car. Number four is if you're a business owner, you can take these car payments as a tax deductible. What does that mean? A lot of people, like a lot of really rich people, they take the G-Wagons, for example. I think there's like a certain measurement where if you get over a certain measurement, then you pay less tax on the car. Whatever way is, a lot of these business owners are using these as a loophole. It's similar to how people pay for, private jets. Private jets is really tax deductible. That's why you see people like Grant Cardone, people like Ty Lopez having these private jets, because it's tax deductible. The same way with your car, you basically get 20% back because you're declaring it as a business expense. Every time you go pay petrol, declaring it as a business expense. But in this example, when you're leasing the car, every time you're paying that £500, you're saying the business is leasing the car, not you as an individual. So if you like this video, comment down below and share it with some friends. Also, if you're interested in investing, join my Discord group where we talk about finances, equities, stock, everything related to finance.